Hey everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here, and I want to welcome you to this webinar for how to be in a mastermind group with me. And today we're going to start off by talking about the need to upgrade your peer group. If you want to succeed in business, you're going to want to do life with people who understand what it's like to go through and building a successful business. I don't know about you, but when I left my business, or when I left my career as an employee after living a lifetime as an employee, I had a hard time finding people that I could talk to, people who understood what it was that I was doing. I mean, these people are like, Cliff, how could you leave your career in insurance after 12 years? You had job security, you had everything going for you. I just don't get it. And when I was trying to build this business and I was finding obstacles in my way, there were things that I didn't know, but challenges that I was facing. And quite frankly, sometimes those challenges were very difficult emotionally, physically, mentally, financially. All sorts of emotions were happening. And I went to some of my friends for advice, the people that I knew, and they're like, dude, why don't you just go back and get your day job? And that was not the advice that I needed. And what I realized, I did have one thing going for me. Before I started this venture, before I went out and worked for myself, coming from a ministry background, I remembered one proverb in the book of Proverbs found in the Old Testament, and it says that plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. So one of the things that I made sure to do when I started my business was to surround myself with a group of people who knew what I was doing and who could be there to give me advice along the way. The thing is I sought their advice and they encouraged me, but they're like, Cliff, I really don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And so I realized that my peer group wasn't what it needed to be, and I needed an upgrade. In fact, one of my favorite Tony Robbins quote is this: your life will be the direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. And what I realized is that I was living a life that was according to the expectations of those that I surrounded myself with. People expected me to fail because they had never succeeded in building a business on their own. They expected it to be challenging. They expected me to eventually go back to the day job and all that other stuff. And quite frankly, that's not what I wanted in my life. And so what I decided to do was to turn things around. I'm going to upgrade my peer group. And when I started a mastermind group of people who were already performing well in their business. These are people who had gone much further down the path than I had. They had already achieved success in creating and building mailing lists, creating products and services, and all of those things that all of a sudden I found that my life was turning around. My business pursuits were turning around. Their expectations were, Cliff, why haven't you started that mailing list yet? Cliff, why haven't you launched that product yet? Cliff, why haven't you done this yet? Their expectations was that I had everything, all the resources I needed were there for me to succeed. They had given me the steps, and they're like, my expectation, Cliff, is that you are going to go do this. You said you were going to do it. Now go do it. Your life will be the direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. So what is a mastermind group anyway? A mastermind group, this is my definition, by the way. It is a small group of people who meet together regularly, where every member of the group is committed to the success of every other member of the group. Now, let me ask you this. In your business pursuits, in the things that you're trying to go after, your goals, your mission, your purpose, the things you feel most called to do you ever feel all alone or isolated in that pursuit? That's how I felt in my first year, or actually in my first year and a half of building my business. Before I was in a mastermind group, I felt like I was the only one who understood what I was going through. I didn't know other people who owned businesses. I didn't know other people at the time who understood what it was like to try to create a product and service and then have it fail. I didn't know somebody else who was trying to create video content but failing miserably all the time. I didn't know other people who were doing these things, and I felt all alone. I felt like, hey, I've got to find a way to put food on the table. I've got to find a way to generate income. And so far, the things that I'm doing aren't working. And then, of course, what about this? Eventually, there were times when I found some things that did work. And this may sound crazy, but I had a different challenge for me. I had a challenge where what happens if all of a sudden you're out there and you create a product or service and you make $20,000 in a weekend? What happens then? Who do you celebrate with? Well, if your peer group are people who are making $30,000 to $60,000 a year, I want to tell you that current peer group, they don't get all that excited when you tell them you just made 20 grand in one weekend. Nope, they're not all that excited for you. And the next time you have any struggle, any setback, they're like, dude, whatever. Get in the real world. So if one challenge for those who are building a business is this problem of isolation. And in a mastermind group, you've got a peer group of people who actually understand the ups and downs of owning your own business. In a mastermind group, you'll spend less time learning through trial and error. It's kind of like this idea of going through a maze. That you walk through and there's all kinds of different paths you can go through. As a matter of fact, sometimes you can go really deep into that maze until you finally hit that dead end. It's like, okay, now how do I go back to find the other direction? Well, in a mastermind group, the great news is that there are often people, and especially in the next level mastermind, there are people who have already made it to the solution of the maze. They've already found out the step-by-step journey, and they've created a map, and they're willing to share their map with you. You don't always have to learn by trial and error. I was just listening to a podcast from my friend Dan Miller, and he gave a quote of the week this week, and it says, only unsuccessful people learn from their own failures. Successful people learn from the failures of others. All right, so I don't know about that. I kind of feel like there is some value in learning from your own failures, and there are some times when you need to struggle. You need to actually do some things to spread your wings and fly, for you to have the strength. You have to build some muscle sometimes by some failures of your own. But man, I tell you, you don't have to learn it all through trial and error. If you can learn some of the things like how do I set up a mailing list and how do I create a marketing campaign for my product or service, if you can learn some of that stuff from somebody else who's already been there, who's already done it, who's already figured it all out, trust me, there are some things you just want to learn from other people's mistakes. You want to learn from their success. You want to follow their maps. And that's what a mastermind group, especially like the one of the next level mastermind, it can hand you. Let me ask you this. Do you ever wish there were someone who could help you figure out exactly what is the next right thing for you to focus on in building your business? The reality is we go to all these conferences, we're reading all of these books, we're listening to all these podcasts, we're taking all these online courses, and it seems like every single time we do it, we're just adding things to our to-do list. An endless barrage of a growing to-do list that over and over again, we just feel overwhelmed by. I just don't know what to do next. Well, my friends, a mastermind group can help you figure out exactly what is the next right thing for you to focus on in your business. In fact, absolute clarity is exactly what I get every single time I join my mastermind group. All right, as a mastermind group, you will experience greater confidence in yourself and your abilities. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I was looking to completely transition away from the podcast Answer Man brand. And what I decided is that I wanted to be able to go and create a business where people would allow me to teach them something other than how to launch a podcast. I wanted to teach people how to start a business. I wanted to teach people how to change their beliefs. I wanted to teach people how to lose weight. I want to teach people how to create new habits and new behaviors and completely ditch and get rid of old habits that have been holding them back for years from living the lives for which they were created. And my first step in that journey was creating a business workshop, a live workshop here in my home, here in the Next Level studio. I had the space, I had everything to teach, but the one thing I didn't have was the confidence. I'm like, are people really going to come all the way to Northern Kentucky? Are they going to pay thousands of dollars for me to teach them how to build a business? I mean, everybody looks at me, they think I'm the podcast answer man. It seems like all they want from me is podcasting advice. Are people really going to fly to Cincinnati for this? My mastermind group said, Cliff, absolutely they will. And they convinced me why people are desperately wanting me to do this. They asked me questions like, hey, has people been asking you, when you've coached people through Podcasting A to Z, do people ask you for business advice? All the time. Have you given business advice that people have followed and they've succeeded? Yeah, over and over again. Then why wouldn't somebody else do that? I mean, Cliff, the other thing is you built your home 2 years ago and you still haven't hosted a live event. People have been waiting to be invited to the Next Level studio. And it kind of got me excited. And afterwards, it was all the motivation, all the inspiration I needed to go and work on a sales page and to create an email. Now, the thing is, though, is that a couple days later, after I created the sales page, after I wrote the email and drafted it and everything like that, I was struggling to hit the send button. And I sent a text message to my friend Ray Edwards. And I said, hey, do you got time for a pep talk? And he said, yeah, I do. So we jumped on a call, had a 5-minute conversation. He reminded me of all the reasons why this is going to work. And I hit send. And guess what? 6 people came to my June 2016 workshop. 6 people traveled to Northern Kentucky. Now, my second workshop, after I had the confirmation and the confidence that this was going to sell, all of a sudden my own confidence went through the roof, turned up to maximum, and I started to market that thing like crazy. The very next workshop, which was 2 months later, I had 12 people. In fact, I've had people now come here and fill out the entire, we can only hold 14 people. Actually, we could only hold 12, and then all of a sudden I sold 13 tickets by accident. I went out and bought another table and 2 chairs, and now we can hold 14 in here. But the reality is that this workshop has sold out several times since, but it would not have happened had this group, my mastermind group, not talked me into believing in myself and my ability to pull this off. So many times we get in our own head and we have that little nagging voice. Who are you to think that you could do this? Seriously, there are so many other people out there more qualified than you. Well, guess what? You won't hear that language. You won't hear that talk coming from anybody in your mastermind group. You will get the confidence. You will finally have more confidence in yourself and your abilities as a result of a mastermind group. Imagine an entire team of people who are fully committed to your success. Whatever your goal is, these people are on board. They're like, listen, let's huddle here. Let's talk. You're going to have this. Now go out and make it happen. That's what you have in a mastermind group. In a mastermind group, you are surrounded by a group of people who believe in you and what you are doing in this world. They are behind you. They got your back. They're like, you've got this, man. That's what a mastermind group does for you. In a mastermind group, you can borrow from the education of everyone else in the group. My mastermind group, somebody like Michael Stelzner, he's a Google Analytics nerd. I mean, this guy knows more about Google Analytics than I've ever even thought that you could ever do. And he's like, Cliff, I'd love to jump on the call and help you figure out how to set up some UTM parameters for your Google. And I'm like, what is that? And so he's like, Cliff, I'll explain to you. So you'll want to be able to track the effectiveness of all the different campaigns that you're doing for your Free the Dream conference. He's like, hey, by the way, you get to also benefit from the experience of others in your group. So Michael Stelzner, who's in my Green Room Mastermind, he's like, Cliff, I have Social Media Marketing World. 6,000 people came last year to his event. So he's getting ready to host his 7th annual event. And as a result of that, he's like, Cliff, I will give you anybody on my team. Just tell me who you want to talk to. I will have them schedule an hour with you. They'll answer any question you want to know. I'll personally jump on a call with you and share with you from our experience what has worked, what didn't work. We'll help answer any questions you may have. That's the kind of experience and education you can tap into. But not only that, but you also tap in and can benefit from the influence of other people in your group. For example, every single year for 7 years, he's invited me to come speak at his conference. Ray Edwards, He's in my mastermind group. I've spoken at his events. I've been on his podcast. I've been on Pat Flynn's podcast. I've been on Mark Mason's podcast. I've been on Leslie Samuel's podcast. You get to benefit also from the influence of these other people. In a mastermind group, you also get to benefit from the resources of others. I love this image right here of just like, hey, you need something? Take my keys, take my car, it's yours. My favorite example of this was back in the early days of podcasting A to Z. I was doing kind of my own little technology wrappings of how I put it all together. And Leslie says, hey, Cliff, I want you to know I just created this online blogging course, and I hired somebody who is a virtual assistant from the Philippines. She set everything up. Take a look and let me know what you think. And I said, oh man, that looks awesome. He goes, hey, if you want, I hired this virtual assistant 40 hours a week, every week. She's working for me full time. I'm really only using her right now for about 15 hours a week. She did all of this. If you'd like, I'll allow her to work for you 20 hours a week for the next 3 weeks. She'll set all this up for you. That's the kind of stuff that again, a mastermind group is a small group of people where every single member is committed to the success of every single member. All right. In a mastermind group, now this is a quote from Napoleon Hill. You can accomplish more in 1 year through the participation in a healthy mastermind group than you could ever hope to achieve in a lifetime without a mastermind group. Now, I thought to myself, that is a bold statement. When I read that in the book Think and Grow Rich, I'm like, come on, seriously? And I will tell you what, every single year, I do things in my business that I never dreamed I would ever even consider doing. And yes, I can proudly tell you that it's true. Every year, I accomplish more in my personal life and my professional life because of my participation in a mastermind group than I would have ever done in a lifetime without it. And I can boldly say that because not only that, but I've done the Next Level Mastermind for over a year now. And every single member who's been in the Next Level Mastermind for this past year would tell you the exact same thing, that they accomplished more in this past year than they would have done in a lifetime without it. And not only that, but I've facilitated a lot of other mastermind groups over the years. When it comes to accountability, here's the thing. There's a lot of things that we say we're going to do. But in a mastermind group, you get real accountability. We want you to deliver on your promises. Now, we're not going to hold your hand. We're not going to go and do your work for you. But here's how it looks. You're in a hot seat every 6 weeks. And when you get into the hot seat, guess what you're going to do? You're going to say, hey guys, this is what I'm working on in my business. This is what my goal is. Here's some questions I have for you guys. Can you help me out with this? And we say, yeah, we can help you out with that. And then all of a sudden you have a couple action steps and you tell us, what are you going to do between now and the next 6 weeks based upon this hot seat? What are you committed to? And if you get into the hot seat the next time and you're like talking about something completely different, it's like, wait a second. I thought how did that thing go? Yes, you'll finally have the accountability that you need to deliver on your promises. In a mastermind group, you will always be learning something new. Some people wonder, well, gosh, if I'm in the hot seat only every 6 weeks, well, what's the benefit of me showing up the other weeks? Well, I will tell you that you will always learn as much from other people's hot seat as you would your own. In fact, because in the Next Level Mastermind, everybody who's in the mastermind group is already a business owner, just like you, well, then the reality is that these people are doing things to grow their business. They're also working on online courses, how to improve webinars, how to do Facebook ads. They're also trying to figure out how to grow their mailing list. They're trying to figure out how to set up automated sales funnels. They're trying to figure out a lot of the same things that you're trying to figure out. But the most important thing is guess what? These people in your group are going to be out listening to podcasts, reading books, taking online courses, going to conferences, and they're going to be coming back and say, hey guys, so let's just imagine this. Somebody else comes to the group, they're in the hot seat, and they say, okay, I just got back from this conference. And at this conference, there is this one session I attended. And the speaker said this, this, and this. And so it got me to thinking, I've not thought about this before. I want to do this, this, and this. Now, have you guys heard anything about this? And if I were going to do this, where should I start? How do I implement this? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, you know what? I don't have experience with that particularly, but I know somebody that's a resource. And somebody else says, oh, I do know somebody. And somebody else says, oh my gosh, you know what? I've tried that in the past and it worked. I can't think for the life of me why I haven't done that again. Because of you, I'm going to go do it again. And by the way, here's how I did it. Here's the roadmap. These are the obstacles that were in my way. This is how I overcame it. And then all of a sudden, it's like some people who are just observing the hot seat, all of a sudden are reminded to do things that they once did that worked, and they, for whatever reason, stopped doing it. And the other people, like myself, might be in there. It's like, I never even thought about it. I never even heard of that. I'm going to try that as well. And the person in the hot seat got the next steps and the clarity they needed to move forward on that. You'll always be learning something new in a mastermind group. You will be inspired to take action all the time. You will be motivated. Why? Because every single time somebody's in the hot seat, they're always in there to talk about what they're doing next in their business. They're always moving forward. There is no drifting in the next level mastermind. You will be carried by the motivation and the momentum and the flow of energy that's always moving forward. You will never feel comfortable drifting. You will be motivated in the next level mastermind. A little bit about the Green Room Mastermind. So I started my own business, January 2008. I struggled like nobody else. For the first 9 months of my business, I worked 12 to 16, sometimes 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I never took a single day off for the first 9 months. By the end of my first year in business, by the way, after 9 months, I took 1 day a week off. I just increased the number of hours the other 6 days. Crazy. Anyway, after the first year, I ended up in the hospital. I almost died. I weighed nearly 300 pounds. I don't weigh that today, by the way. I've lost 100 pounds since then. So, but anyway, how did I change my life? What changed for me? Well, it all changed in October 2010 is when things really took off for me, when I started the mastermind group with these guys, the Green Room Mastermind. What we have here, this is Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income. This is Mark Mason from Late Night Internet Marketing. Leslie Samuel from BecomeAblogger.com. Well, that's me. Michael Stelzner, Social Media Examiner. And Ray Edwards from Ray Edwards International. Anyway, these guys have been in my life on a weekly basis. We get together every single week and have done so since October 2010. And I will tell you, my life is better for it. I am always experiencing the benefits of everything that I've shared with you so far. A little bit about the Next Level Mastermind. First of all, you'll get the additional benefit of the Next Level Mastermind in that you'll be in a mentoring relationship with me. Now, I do offer one-on-one mentoring. It's $3,500. It's 3 one-hour sessions within a 90-day period of time. I also offer a one-day package. You can fly here to Northern Kentucky and spend an entire day with me for 8 hours, and that's $7,500. And by the way, these are real numbers, and yes, I do have many people who have paid me for those. And every single client, I've got a 100% satisfaction rating, okay? Now, what I can tell you though, is that in 2018, I made the decision. I wanted to work with and mentor a small group of people consistently throughout the year. And one of the ways that I would do that is through the Next Level Mastermind. And so while my main commitment to each member of the mastermind is that I will facilitate and I will be on a call with you every single week. I literally lead the meeting every week, 90 minutes a week, every single week. But outside of that, I am concerned about your success. A little bit even beyond the average participation in a mastermind group. I already told you that a mastermind group is a small group of people who meet together regularly, where every member of the group is committed to the success of every other member of the group. I will tell you that in the Next Level Mastermind, there is going to always be one member in the group who is just a little bit more committed to your success than any other member of the group. And that's me. Basically, in 2019, you could be in a mentoring relationship with me all throughout 2019 and have the benefit of one of the healthiest mastermind groups in existence, the Next Level Mastermind. And the investment is, well, it's only $1,000 per month. So I know you might be thinking $1,000 per month, but what I can tell you is that this is basically an investment in your future. If you don't already have a business, the Next Level Mastermind is not for you. If you don't already have a product or service that people are consistently paying you for, you're not a good fit for the Next Level Mastermind. But if you do already have a business, you already do have products and services that people are consistently paying you for, what I can tell you is that your participation in the Next Level Mastermind on a weekly basis will help you start thinking about your business in a different way. It'll have you start marketing your business in a different way. It'll start motivating you in a different way. You'll stop drifting. You'll stop feeling isolated and alone. You'll stop procrastinating as much as you procrastinate right now. You will start taking different actions on a consistent basis. You will do things that will definitely increase your income by more than $1,000 per month and significantly more. All right. Now, if you want to, you could head over at this very moment in time, nextlevelmastermind.info. Again, that's nextlevelmastermind.info, and you could apply for the Next Level Mastermind today. Well, my friends, that wrapped up the webinar that I had done for the Next Level Mastermind. The rest of the session was all Q&A, questions that I answered for those who participated live. Just wanted to share just the main presentation with you to let you know the benefits of the Next Level Mastermind. If you are interested in applying for the Next Level Mastermind, make sure you head over to nextlevelmastermind.info. There are very few seats that are still available, and I would love to not only be in a mastermind group relationship with you, but also to have you as one of my personal mentees in the year 2019. Anyway, head over to nextlevelmastermind.info, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.